Hey, Mr. Sweet, how you doing?
Hello, Mr. Herring. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. We have a storm.
Yeah.
We have a storm. It's called Helene.
Is it windy your way yet?
Not so much. I mean, it's been raining, but I mean, it's been moving away from me. And it's moving towards you.
Yeah, actually, I was on my front porch when we tried this initially, and it was just a little too gusty, and then I was kind of heartbroken because we just had a lot of yard work done, trees taken care of, and you think that you get it all cleaned up, and no, not so much.
You don't have So how far are you from the coast?
I want to say I'm probably about 15 miles.
Okay, and do
I
you
mean, it
live
takes 45 minutes to get there, but it's only 15
you're
miles.
in Tampa, right? Tampa proper?
Yeah, I'm in Tampa. I'm
Okay.
in North Tampa, kind of almost a little west of downtown.
And what's your flood zone?
I'm not.
You're
I'm
not-
68 feet above sea level.
You're not. You don't have. Do you have flood coverage?
No. On top of it, my house is 110, 120 years old, so it's 3.5 feet up, 3 feet off the ground anyway. So I'm at least 60 feet up, and I'm then another 3 feet up off the ground. I've been here for 25 years.
I live in a place that is not likely to flood either.
Yeah. Really? How come?
Because I live in the highest part of juxtaposed to the ocean. We're higher here than almost anywhere else. You sound like you might be higher than me, but that would be kind of weird. But
Well, Tampa, you don't really notice it, but Tampa kind of heads down to the water.
Yeah. The thing about like our where we are in my county, when you go to the beach, you go to the beach and you take many stairs down.
Yeah.
So but anyway,
Were your people Dutch?
I think actually some of the early people that were here, but the thing is, like, I also have to deal with somebody who is having 1,000-year flood all the time. And so I spend that $600 a year as insurance. That
They could put your house in a fishbowl and it still wouldn't flood.
Well, very technically speaking, okay, if my house were to flood, okay, there would be at least 30,000 people dead. But I still think it could happen.
I don't know. 60. How far are you up? Do you know? You have an elevation for it?
I'm like 42 feet, but I'm 42 feet, but I'm only 16 feet over the bay, and the bay is 1,300 feet away.
I don't know. You could maybe get 16. You could maybe get 16 feet out of that.
I mean,
if you had a really big push,
you'd have to do some doing, man.
Cat 5 coming directly in.
Now the good part is I'm on my street, because not my house wasn't, but the rest of the house was built. The rest of the neighborhood was built by those builders. You know who I'm talking about, who have really, they can get the building department to do anything. So you know how like you're supposed to be like 3 or 4 foot of fill in, something like 8 inches or however many inches above the crown of the street.
Yeah.
Well, like my neighbors get all the water from my house. They're down, and then beyond them, they're down, and they're down. So it's like a hill going that direction. So like there are no hills there. You understand? They just made these people are not going to fare well. Eventually, they're going to have if they get just to give you an idea, I can stand on my back porch and I can look down into their house. And that's
do you do that often, David? Is there something you want to tell me?
No, I don't do that often at all.
Do you do it ever? I mean, often is.
Well, first of all, the guy that lives next door to me is like a special forces guy, and I'm not peeping in his windows, dude.
Is that your type?
No. It's not.
Okay, no. I'm sorry, I was confused there for a second.
No. I got this.
You said you were a
pixel
peeper.
His wife
that was his name, Pixel?
What?
You said you were a pixel peeper. Is his name Pixel?
A pixel peeper is someone who uses cameras.
Oh, so you look at him through the camera?
you bastard!
I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm so confused.
So
I am.
So tell me what you think would happen to Tampa if Tampa gets 100-mile-an-hour wind.
We've dodged pretty much everything. The last storm I remember coming through here really was the No Name storm back in the 80s.
Yeah, because you have that fictitious crap about the Indians. There are no
You really
such
believe
people
that?
there. It's
I know you do.
It's just complete lore. But there's a crew in Mardi Gras in New Orleans. It's called
Right.
a crew of Iris. And if you were to say to the people at the crew of Iris, okay, at any point in time, if you were to say, just walk by these ladies and go, is it going to rain on Iris this year? They would look at you like this, like, what? No, it doesn't rain on Iris. And it hasn't rained on Iris in 100 years. It's rained before, it's rained after, but it never's rained during their parade. And so I think that there's a power of groupthink. So having that lore that you're protected probably does protect.
Or, as a man believes in his heart, so shall it be. It'd be that. I'm really convinced that what there is there's one little old grandma that sits out there someplace. We don't know about her. She goes out there and she prays it all off. And is just terrified to come in. She's shaking her finger at it and telling it where it will and will not go. And it behaves. I'm just kind of wondering. I don't know. Yeah. Good as answer as any.
Yeah, I don't think that's what happens.
You don't think so?
I think that people believe that you have like mounds of Indians.
Back to the Indian thing. Are you pro-Indian and I just don't know it?
Look it up. No, I'm not.
You're trying to get your Seminole tribe card, aren't you?
No,
you want those free cigarettes and cheap booze.
I'm not. I don't even know if I would have such genetics. I generally I don't want to share my genetics with a database somewhere, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Do you have the odd urge to get up in the middle of the night, do a little peyote, and dance around a fire?
No, I don't.
Okay. I know it's stereotypical, but that actually does happen, I think. So I don't think it's stereotypical. I think it's actually a really part of the ceremonies. So you can apologize in advance. You can cut that out before everybody calls me up and hates me on that. You gotta love live shows.
It's definitely, it's coming to your direction.
Yeah, but the tough thing about Tampa is we've not really gotten any significant storm. We've not seen much above, I don't think, 75 or 80 miles an hour, even on the coast.
You are what's called the softest of targets.
Yes, we are.
And you have many tall buildings.
We do, and we have a really low land around the bay, so good 6 or 8 feet floods out some of the most expensive real estate in the entire city down off of Bayshore.
Yeah, and they still have that problem with their having that crappy NFIP coverage like everybody else.
Tractor. I just refuse to do it.
Yeah. The only thing I like NFIP for one reason. It's easy to write because it's pretty explicit about what it pays for. Stuff that's wet. I have a weirdness with your voice. I can't. It's like you cut out on me, but then you come back.
I don't know why I would be doing that.
I think maybe you dropped it down your pants or something.
Did not drop it down my pants. And how would you know that? You don't have out your camera. So, peeper. Is that any better?
That's perfect.
Okay.
No, I mean, like, if it, I don't know, like, it's like you can see. I think you can see.
Yeah,
it's
I
massive.
can imagine it.
It's massive.
It's a big one. Well, I'm feeling it swirl around me, and it's just, and there'll be claims from this. There's roofs here that they've seen hail, but not much more, and we're supposed to get anywhere between 8 and 12 feet. So, depending on where that pushes through, where the draw is on it, I think the people definitely up north of Tampa. Once you start hitting like Dunedin and Newport Richey and Weeki Wachee and stuff, I'm going to bet it'll flood out pretty well through there.
Well, I mean, they had the thing is this afternoon they were clocking 67 mile an hour wind in Sarasota. I think about all the claims that are already there, that haven't been settled.
And
in Alaska.
So that's an interesting concept. Do unsettled claims, who's culpable if the money has not been provided to complete the repairs and now there's subsequent repairs? Is that an additional?
They're going to treat it as an additional claim.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if you knocked a hole in your roof and you put a tarp on it and tarp blew off a week later and it rained in your house, would you call it a separate claim?
Yeah, because that's directly related.
But would you call it a separate claim?
I think you get me into a logic loop, which I'm going to have to agree with you on. So yeah, I know.
I don't know. I wonder about it, and then it frustrates me because
I had one in Daytona, which they had a ongoing litigation over the windows in this 28-story building. Then they had another storm that ripped the roof off and dumped tons of water in these windows.
Right.
So it really polluted the claim, but it wound up being what actually happened was the windows and the subsequent damage from the windows was paid with the claim in litigation. The rest of the loss was paid by the new claim for that particular peril in that case. But it was weird.
So you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking all these companies are rolling in. Everybody's, ready to go work. And for all you guys, I want you to look at me right now. All right. If you do what you did last storm and you think that you don't have to document your files, do daily readings, take solid pictures that can be actually identified within the building. If you don't think that you have to sample, if you don't think you have to confirm category, if you don't, for some reason, if you weren't burned bad enough last time, I would like to remind you of your last spankings. Because I know, because you work for a bunch of y'all.
I would like you to take as many pictures as you can of the meter by itself.
Yeah. Please take every picture of a meter on a white wall.
Yes,
with no context associated with it. Not a room, not in any particular order. I just want the most.
Do this for a living, and you hadn't figured out how to. I mean, it's kind of crazy, man.
Oh, and do make sure that you take and wrap your fingers around the back of the meter, so I can't tell whether or not you're reading your finger or the wall. Please make sure you do that, and then take it on a weird, odd angle, so you can't possibly tell the difference between them. So that I get to sit because, please, because what you're going to do is you're going to give David and I lots and lots and lots of work. All right, because you are doing this stuff. So
I had a guy who had managed to break his skin pretty badly when he was trying to use a hammer probe.
Was he testing it to make sure it worked?
And so he bled on the floor.
Oh, jeez.
So in the litigation, this became an identifier of a particular location.
Oh, that's
because there was no other identifiers of any other location. It was marked by blood.
Guys, if worse comes to worse, just take a sticky note and some Scotch tape and mark the name of the job, the room it's on, and just get it.
Well, I have a really good contractor that I've worked with for years who does that.
I bet you that I charged companies over $100,000 last year to do nothing besides take their 1,500 pictures and figure out by date, time, and context where it belonged so that I could create files where their work was supportable. I bet I built $100,000 last year doing that. And everyone in my organization hates it. Absolutely hates it. It's the most mind-numbing work.
You know what I call that? You know what I call that? I call it being you're a really good fireman.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a really good fireman. Like, if there's a problem, I can fix it, but that don't mean I like it.
Yeah. We all hate doing it, but we do it because we know the people did the work. They just didn't leave any trace, Oh,
do you know what concerns me a lot?
We are not the Great White North. You do not have to pack all the evidence of your existence out with you when you leave. Leave something behind so that we know you're there. Just saying.
What I'm worried about on this storm is I'm worried about, obviously this storm will create much more litigation. And I'm worried about having to do that level of collection from attorneys.
Do you remember when we didn't have to collect from attorneys?
Yeah.
I've had to turn 3 attorneys into the bar this year and litigate them over cases where I did the work.
No, like I'm answering like subpoenas for people that, like I'm getting subpoenaed to testify,
Then
and I
you
hadn't
get
been paid on the last one.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. They've not paid you in advance, and I wonder if these people understand the kind of spot that puts them in. You can just say,
Well, I mean,
hey, I did the work. Here's my work. I'm not doing any more work until I'm paid for the last work I didn't get paid for.
If I was crossing me, I would say the first thing I would say is, "Does your client owe you any money?"
Yep,
That's the first thing I'd say. What's that?
How much did you charge, and is your bill current? And then all of a sudden, I become a hostile witness.
Is there any other bill for any other job which they have not paid you for? Any open balance? Because it prejudices you, right?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't prejudice me because I'd still tell the truth, but someone would certainly argue you did.
I know that, but someone could argue that you're prejudiced.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, that's one of those doors. Why in the world, if you live in a world full of mosquitoes, why would you leave the door open? Just, files are like a hole outside the great white north full of skeeters. Why in the world would you leave somebody open to bleed you? I just don't get it.
I don't know. And I also worry when we have these storms, I worry about these restorers and contractors who go right out and say, "We'll get right to it, Miss Smith," and just put people and equipment and hotels and travel and per diem and the whole 9 yards, and just burn their resources down.
I wonder if they'll do that.
May not ever be paid for.
I wonder if they'll do that this time. I wonder if they'll handle it like a flood. We're going to come in. We're going to do $10,000 worth of work. They're going to come in. They're going to pull stuff out, do 3 days of drying, and then walk away with pay. And whatever happens, happens. Because that's how it's taken care of.
I think what's going to happen is the contractors are going to show up and say, "Miss Smith, here's my estimate, and let us know when they pay you so we can get started."
Yeah, but see, if they do that, then the insured, unless they document the heck out of it, has the insured actually mitigated the loss? Have they done something to prevent further damage? And see, this is the problem with this.
I think what they're gonna have to do is they're gonna have to take the mitigation company and pay them $5,000, just do the minimum.
But then if the mitigation company only comes and does the minimum, then the mitigation company is open to litigation for it.
Not if they just do stabilization, right?
They can, but they're going to burn the $5,000 real quick, long before anybody gives anybody any permission, anything. What really needs to happen is they either need to change the policy in the way that it's worded, because the policy is really at enmity with the actual conditions that people have to work under. It's the same policy handling day-to-day claims as it is the policy that's handling a storm claim. In day-to-day claims, you have a shot of being able to get an actual live person at a carrier. You can get through to the actual person who underwrote your policy. Once this gets all cranked up, people might not hear from anybody for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. And then if you miss the call, God help you. So this sits, it gets worse. Water turns to mold.
Was my claim a daily claim?
Was it a David claim?
Daily claim. Was it a daily claim?
Yeah. And how long did it take them?
I don't know yet.
Because they've still not shown up?
Well, no, I mean, they're just paying me less than anybody who came to my home said to pay me.
So I know you well enough to know that you've done your job, that you've documented your claim. And I'm the very first one to caution people for grace. I did a master class training today, and we talked about the difference kind of between murder and manslaughter, basically being in one's an accident, they didn't know it happened, they didn't intend it, and murder being intentional. And the problem is it's hard to differentiate the difference between, manslaughter and murder. You're harmed either direction, right? You're probably dead. Your damages were what your damages are. But the problem is, how do you know for certain that the person that's making the decision really understands it? Now, with you at this point, you're 10 months in now, is it?
Yeah, like 300 days.
Yeah, so about 10 months. So you're 10 months in. I don't know how to ascribe that. I don't know that there's any grace left for that at that point, especially because I know the conversations you've had, the documents that have been exchanged, the inspections that have occurred.
Well, yesterday they met with management on my claim.
Well, have they still not paid you for your contents?
Just 13 grand.
13 grand on a policy limit that was what, like 200 for contents?
Like 300.
All of them have been disposed of?
The contents?
Still in the house?
They wouldn't let me move them.
So letting it rot.
They referred to it as exfoliation of evidence.
If you touched it.
And so all that stuff we could have saved, we can't save.
So I think we've gone to murder.
So we really lost $250,000 of the contents. Even if they paid us in full, we still lost all the other content.
Yeah, and I don't know how to describe that, but murder. That to me is murder one. They murdered your claim.
The thing about it is and they've done something. They've done some things right. It's just the difference between a process and a project is one is like driving through a never-ending ditch, and one of them is like driving through a hole. The project comes to an end, and what a lot of these things feel more like is being in a process that's an ongoing process that has no real end. And it's like when somebody says, I can hold my breath if you want me to, but you have to tell me how long, because I might be able to do it. I just need no long. And the thing about the one that bugged me, the part of this that bugged me the worst was simply this. Any way you cut it, the insurance company made a decision by commission or omission. They made a decision that I will never return to because for the time I have left on ALE, I don't have time enough. If they paid me today, I wouldn't have time enough to put my house together before I ran out of ALE. And I told them going in, I need this done within 6 months because that'll give me enough time to get it done. I live in a place that is a vacation community most of the year, and then there's no workers here otherwise. I mean, it's hard to get labor. And when you do get it, it's very expensive. And so, like the guy I wanted to do the job, he said it'll take him a year and a half to do it, all in.
Right. So who becomes responsible for that? I have a client that has a fire in California right now, and they're nosing up on the edge of their ALE being done, and the fire's been going on, the investigation, for 9 months.
Well, in California, you have more tools
to some degree, but it's still got the same ALE issue. And in California,
yeah,
they have this lovely thing where an agent's not required to insure the property properly.
Yeah, you can't sue the agent. You can't sue the broker, right?
You cannot sue the broker unless you ask the broker specifically to make sure there is a market valuation for the rebuild of your structure. And you would never. Why would you ever think you had to ask an agent for that? That makes no sense.
Jimmy P said, when you have a claim, you should talk to his office and to your broker.
So I wonder what that means. If you call his office and you have a poor outcome because you were influenced to do something that you might not have done otherwise if you weren't concerned, because basically a state official told you to not, as I understand it, told you not to trust contractors, to only talk to your insurance company.
Right.
And I'm not saying there's not crooks out there. I get it, but gee, I wonder what kind of liability he's going to bear for that. He says, knowing full well it will probably be none. But
he talks about in this video that he put on X. He said that all these fraudsters were going to come in and try to get you to sign up for like direction of pay.
Direction of pay is not fraud.
But
direction of pay is not a fraud. It's a contractual element.
But hold on. That's not. But they carry. Nobody even has to follow that in our business.
Well, they say they don't.
By the way, Storm just became a Cat 4.
Cat 4, and it still has time. It could make land at 5.
Yeah, I've been saying for a while. I think that's what's going to happen. HMON called it at that, and I think the GFS called it at one point.
So that means we're going to have we'll have a 2 way up into Georgia, and we could have a 2 in Atlanta. And you want to talk about places that are simply not hardened for that.
But now that you have a 4 out there that's going to touch you on the side on the east side of it, that changes the look of what you're going to see.
Oh yeah, although it's probably darn near about even with me at this point.
Not quite.
So imagine all the people. Is that up to me yet? I couldn't see your phone.
No, it's going to whack you.
How far south is me still?
It's going to whack you like probably tonight, huh? We'll see.
You think? I thought it was going to make landfall by early morning.
Yeah, it's going to make landfall tonight.
Well, you know what's worse for us is, number one, we're on the dirty side of the storm. But number two, because of the nature of how that works, as it comes up the coast, it's gonna push on the southern face of roofs first, then the western face, and then as it passes, it's gonna curl back around onto the northern face, and then as it departs, it's gonna hit the eastern face, that cyclonic wind.
So it's a equal opportunity elevation.
Yeah, it is.
Storm.
So let's say that, do you think you're going to be out of the hurricane winds? Are you far enough west?
I am, because it's moved farther east.
So again, think about all these houses that are still unrepaired. You think they're going to be leaking?
Yeah. I'm thinking about the place I got out of the no-tell motel I'm doing in Perry from the last storm. And and it's going to have like 20-foot storm surge. I wonder if it pushed. Yeah. And it put, yeah.
I thought Perry was inland.
Where is Perry, Florida?
Well, I'm thinking of Chiefland. I think I'm thinking of Chiefland.
Perry's not far from the coast. Why can't you just any day now focus?
If you got a better camera, for a pervy peeper, you think you have better camera.
You see? It's right there.
How far away? Yeah, that's it. All right.
So if you got 20 feet of storm surge there.
Yeah. And then the wind scouring, it's going to be a mess. And it's not going to be a consolidated mess. You know, when it came through and it hit Houston, there's services, there's infrastructure, there's Home Depots. We're going to cut a swath across pretty virgin land, right?
Yeah. It's well, I mean, and keep in mind, we have 2 more storms coming.
Yeah.
Soon. Very soon.
I know. So for those of you, if anybody listens to this, you should post this out. Our public service announcement. Before the storm gets to you guys, you need to walk around the entire perimeter of your house. You need to walk around all sides and take pictures of the top of your vehicles. Take every face of your roof. Walk through the entire interior of your home. Film all of the walls. Then turn that camera up and film all of the ceilings. All right? Everything, everywhere. So that you have a good pre-loss indication of where of what condition your home was in. Because by the time an adjuster gets there, let's say the storm does open up an opening and we get another storm behind it, we get our normal thunderstorms, now you have multiple tide lines, and it starts to look like you have lots of ongoing damage, doesn't it? And you had damage for a long time, and all of a sudden, what was no damage is now a fight about what was short-term, long-term, multiple exposures, etc. And I always say that because you think that it's silly and that doesn't happen. Dave, how many trials have you done where those are components of it?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, fingers and toes, guys.
I mean, it's like they always say. Well, Mr. Herring, do you believe this could have been like this before this peril? Like, I don't know. I wasn't there.
Wasn't there.
I mean, you did bind the policy at some point before this peril, so did you check? Because I wasn't here. I didn't know the existence of it. But no, I mean, like I'll never forget as long as I live being on Long Island, New York, and go to this house with like this attorney to look at this house for a claim, and he says the guy comes to the door and he goes we go inside, and I said, can you tell me about like when the wind came and what the wind did, and when the water came and what the water did? He says, sure. I said, how can you do that? He says, I sat up there on those stairs and filmed the whole thing.
That sounds like
yeah. And so like Like so he gives it to the attorney, and they settle they settle it in about 5 minutes because he's
Yep.
got prima facie evidence of everything that happened at the exact same time. Like just knowing what happened, when the wind damage happened and when the water damage happened, just that one fact alone can pivot a whole claim. We had somebody that had a GoPro on their tree, and it showed that the wind came and pushed their house off of its foundation, off of its piles.
Huh?
And then 5 minutes later, the water came and pushed it another 20 feet.
Yeah.
But what did the first damage?
That's right. And see, that's what nobody understands. And that's the tough thing. You should probably post that up.
Yeah.
For all the people in the storm surge.
No, I just think that I think it would just be so wise if people would wire up their houses in ways that they could see these things. I mean, even pointing a camera back at your house so you could see what's going on when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, just having recall is pretty important.
Well, if you
had cameras out there, you couldn't go pee in the bushes or anything.
Again, you and people outside, I know you're helping yourself here. I know you have editorial control over this in your meeting, so I'm guessing you're going to clean it up in post.
I thought the thing you had today was really nice.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's I think what you do is teaching the details of how to document a claim is just beyond uber important. And I think on any given day, there isn't not one of us that can't upgrade what we're doing. And if we're not upgrading it, we're probably being drugged behind. I know that you're a lot older than me, but
yeah, but you look at men through your camera, so we're gonna have to call it. You peep on them, and they did this. So
bastard.
No, I have a dad, and I know who he is.
You're always being nice to you. So
he claimed me.
So what's the who's gonna have the most pain from this event?
Jeez, insureds that are just not ready, not prepared, and that don't understand how to make sure that they not work the system but work within the system. Here's another thing for a PSA. As Maya Angelou said this: when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. That's not quite perfect, but you have to realize that you're working a system that you don't know, you don't understand. And the system is the system because it's contractually bound. The policy requires you to do things, them to do things, stuff like that, right? Don't let anything sit. If you've not got a return phone call from your adjuster from the carrier, an email needs to go out the next day with a read receipt and a delivery receipt. If you don't have a response back, then send it out again and call a manager. I understand everyone's going to be really busy, but here's the thing: you get stuck with the mess at the end if stuff goes all kinds of sideways. It's your structure, your house, your loss. So if you're not watching that, if you let things age, here's another little tidbit trick for you. Okay, if you're going to do something, notice the carrier and give them a specified amount of time that's enough for them to respond, and then do it. Now, there's some people that would say don't do anything till the carrier responds, and I would have been one of them at one point. But in the middle of a hurricane, when the longer you wait means the higher the bill is going to be, you have to give them notice. If you're smart, you'll give them the opportunity to correct or address anything. But once you're past that, start your work as soon as safely possible. Homeowners, don't go yanking out drywall without proper PPE. All right, there's silica, there's likely mold, there's bacterial components if there's been flood or hurricane driven wind on the inside. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but you got to presume like it is. And if you're doing demo, you're going to be exposed to all the stuff that OSHA makes us protect our workers from, which means you shouldn't get less protection than our workers because you kind of is one of our workers at that point, right? So don't go doing demo like that. Don't operate power tools that you don't know how to operate. Make sure that all of your power tools are grounded. Make sure you have proper PPE. If you're going to, again, do your work, wear gloves. It's hard. It's hot. That's the reason we charge so much for it, is it's difficult work to do. No one likes doing the kind of work that we do. So before you go tearing stuff apart, make sure you can do it safely. Make sure you can, anyway, you got to find a professional, and then don't hurt yourself in the process of this. Lots of people hurt themselves. No one hears about this, but guys, especially from floods, there's going to be 20, 30 people that die from infections from the stuff that comes from floods. You just don't hear about it. But it happens to restoration workers and homeowners, because there's hardly anything in the world that's any dirtier, any more pathogenic than a flood. Because it's everything that's outside and everything that's inside, everything that's on a road, every animal that defecated gets mixed into it, all of your fertilizers, all of your petrochemicals from the roads, all of your herbicides, all of that is in it. And then chances are, if you have water in your house, some of it probably came from the sewer. So now you have all the human waste. I want you to make extra certain that you're careful when you do this. If you have to do it, for God's sakes, protect yourself.
I've always been very impressive about one particular term that really moves the claim: fecal matter.
Yes, it does. It does change the tenor of the conversation quite a bit.
It's like, yeah, I'll go talk to the people about that. Now,
nothing much impresses them, but for some reason, poopy water gets the job done.
I would say this to the insureds in general: go get help.
Oh yeah,
go get help, because here's the thing. Here's the thing that I notice over and over again, especially in Florida, especially lately. They're getting people on violating the contract for insurance because of duties after loss.
So spend some of your time tonight, pull out your policy, and drink some coffee, because it's a snoozer, and read your policy, and be prepared to ask questions.
I'm a freak. I enjoy reading them.
I'm good at it. I can't say I enjoy it.
I actually enjoy it. That's why I said it's I'm conflicted. That's why I can't do anything else besides this business. Who else would want me?
It's kind of like your wife. The same kind of weird and strange.
Yeah. Well, I hope that your hacienda doesn't get any damage at all.
I hope not. We just did about $4,000 worth of tree work on. We have about 9 live oaks that surround our house.
Yeah,
and we thinned them out.
You know why you did that, right?
Why?
You did that because you wanted to have a double-bound argument if you had damage, that you did the thing you were supposed to do.
Yeah, I did.
Before the storm, so that you would not have a problem during the storm, but now it was worse than you thought, and you did have a problem, and therefore you have to have this claim, but you did everything you could not to have it. And that is really good behavior.
Yeah,
it is. Really
I don't want to claim. Nobody does. But if I do, I want my carrier to step up and do what they're supposed to do without me having to make them.
I had a friend of mine tell me once. He said, "I would rather have open pustules than have an insurance claim." He said, "At least there are remedies for the pustule."
Now, have compassion for the adjusters. All right, especially the ones you're going to see on your job. These guys are going to be tired. They're going to be working 14, 16-hour days. Some of them are sleeping in cars because there's just no room at the inn, so to speak. They're going to be without showers. They're going to be without water. They're going to be eating, MREs because there's no food. Waffle House is closed. We're in trouble, guys. They closed the Waffle House.
What I always just tell everybody is the same thing, that all those people that come from the carrier are human.
Yeah.
And treating them like a human will often result in a human response. Treating them like less than human will often do the opposite. And
you know what? Ask them what you can do to make their life simple. When I teach contractors that, they're like, it never occurred to me to do that. Everybody has an authority limit. So if you'll tell me what you can do and what I need to provide you to make your life simple, we can close up your part of the claim and it can move along.
It's like what I tell contractors. I say, if you have a way to save the carrier money, tell them.
Yeah.
Say, hey, look, I think we could save some money by doing X. It's a reasonable behavior.
Right.
And it proves that you're not in it for just to go get a new F-250.
Right.
Of course, you probably shouldn't drive up in the new F-250 when you're doing this, but that's another story. That's for another day.
Yes.
We'll talk about contractor disease another day.
Yeah, contractors don't come if you can't afford to stay. Don't spend money that you can't wait on. If you're going to do money on the come, make sure that you have everything paid for the next year back home first. And most of the time, people that are that busy at home don't need to come. My clients will not be running off to this storm right away. They'll strategically enter 2 weeks from now with contracts in place, even with insureds, with contracts in place, with money in place. People will, there's going to be all kinds of money that's available. Banks will probably put loosened restrictions for repairs and things like that in place for like homeowner or home equity loans. That's pretty typical. Then I'm sure at some point, because of the state of emergency, there will probably be federal money, although you really do have to work for that. But don't go to work for people that can't pay you. If they tell you they can't pay you, they mean it. You should probably listen to them. Which doesn't mean, we used to have a packet that we would hand out to them that told them what to go do. Here's all of the equipment you need. Go to Home Depot. Here's all your PPE. Let us know. Come on back over. We're going to be right across the street. We'll help fit test you. All right. Get a respirator if you need to be fit tested. Check that. We'll show you how to do that. If you just don't have the money, we'll still give you what's inside of our brain, but you might have to go do the work yourself. And this is the thing. This is what's so tough. Some people just make really poor choices in insurance companies and in coverages, and you can't become responsible for that.
Yeah.
You just can't. Not if you want to stay in business.
The thing that gets me is like all these people, bought that policy in the dead of night online and didn't read the policy because policies are
painful,
no fun to read unless you're me. And, matter of fact, speaking of that, I have to read my policy tonight because I have to write a letter.
For different reasons.
But look.
But there are people that are sitting just like you, right in the middle of a current claim. They're going to have this ball of wind roll right over the top of them, and there now would be additional damage. There will now be additional. Think of your house with the roof damage from the fire. If you started to have wind on it, real wind.
Yeah, I often think too that people can get used to almost anything, even things they shouldn't get used to.
Right.
And I worry sometimes that both the contractors and the insureds often in this process get used to things that are inappropriate for them to get used to. Inappropriate not to get paid, inappropriate not to fix your place the way it's supposed to. I mean, just a bunch of inappropriate. But I hope you don't get hit by the storm at all.
We're going to get a little bit, but we're in good shape. We have a Jenny that controls the whole house in the office.
God, you're so bougie.
I am not bougie. I got to work tomorrow. I got clients that count on me.
You are definitely bougie. You're definitely bougie.
You can't be bougie with a shirt like this.
Yeah, I bet that shirt costs more than my shirt.
Well, if you stop shopping at the thrift store.
No, I got this from Orvis. I
don't know.
I kind of have an Orvis. I have an Orvis thing.
You do? I don't know. It might be about the same. This is a Tommy Bahama.
Oh, yours is definitely more expensive than mine because
I bought it online used because I liked it. Because they don't make it anymore. So no, it's probably not more than yours.
I did not buy mine used. You are
okay. You get
the effing thrift award, okay?
Okay, all right.
Okay. And just well, you have fun with your generator.
You are Pete.
You are still bougie. You're still bougie.
Not remotely bougie.
I have bougie cameras.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't really have bougie cameras. Huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, as we both sit inside of our Our studios.
I have no studio. I have a rental property.
But you had a studio before.
Well, it's still just my office.
Yeah, okay. Well,
with a
still,
beauty box.
It's just my office too.
It's the beauty box. No, you have a studio. You have like 10 cameras, and
I have 10 cameras.
I have one. It's just really good.
Yeah, and that's bougie, snob.
What would be bougie is if I replaced it with the one that just came out, but I can't. I'm not doing that.
No? Okay.
No.
Because your wife won't let you?
No, because I'm trying to be better, a better person.
Oh! Which means your wife caught you last time and you can't again.
Screw you. I'm hanging up on you now. I'll talk to you later.
See you.
Peace, brother. Bye.